hello, and welcome to another episode of the Lions Den podcast. We are on a Wednesday night here talking about everything Club Leon in English. We'll definitely have lots to talk about as Liga MX returns, a little bit delay start for Club Leon for obvious reasons. But we're here to talk about everything Club Leon in English. For everybody that is joining us via YouTube and Periscope, welcome, because this is our episode 100th. I want to thank you guys for all the support throughout social medias. It's a milestone, 100th episode, so hopefully it's a good episode. My co-hosts Carlos and Louis, gentlemen, how are we feeling tonight?
Yeah, ready to get back to it.
Still in vacation mode, but I'll get back into it.
I mean, at the same time, it feels like no time has passed at all, and that was even with the extra week that they gave us. Not that it really does us many favors because now we have to play 2 games in 4 days, but on the one hand, I'm ready because I'm always ready. Don't ever want there to even be an off season. Like, let's just keep this thing going. But then at the same time, it's starting and it's not letting up.
Definitely. But before we talk about Club Leon, as we'll dig into after we have a rundown of Jornada 1. We'll definitely talk about Club Leon news. We'll talk about any changes in the current team. And like Louis mentioned, how we're looking at in these next 2 games coming up pretty soon. Jornada 1 rundown right now at this exact time. Kickoff in Torreon, Santos versus Tigres. So we'll definitely see how that game progresses as we are on the pod. Match day 1 started off with Pachuca 2-0 versus San Luis. Obviously, new change there. Pachuca with Almada taking the win. Juarez 2-1 over Necaxa. Puebla and Club America drawing 1-1. Monterrey Querétaro 0-0 as well. Another draw. Cruz Azul Xolos 2-0. So Xolos coming in with a loss. Chivas, Louis, they got 3-0. I just want to say I loved Alexis Vega's goal. That's all I got to say.
Wow. Okay. Is he your new favorite?
He's always my favorite. Let's not go there.
So he has displaced Conejito in the hierarchy, the hierarchy.
You can't dislike Conejito. Okay, it's just I just love Alexis Vega. I want him to do well.
I love him on Leon, but since he's not on Leon, I got no use for him.
Understandable. And Monday Night Football. If you guys did not watch Pumas versus Toluca, I do not know what you were doing. Nacho Ambriz, ex técnico de la Fiera, on the other side.
I didn't watch it.
You didn't watch it?
I missed it. I'm sorry, guys.
I didn't watch it either.
I didn't watch it, but I heard about it. I heard about the 5-0.
What day was that? Was that Monday?
That was Monday.
I was at the Blazer game.
Yes.
I'm here in Portland. I'm doing Portland things, and that had to take priority. Yeah.
Yes, I did see you were there. So
5-0.
You're excused. But Carlos.
I was busy. Stuff to do. but no. What a welcome back for Nacho Ambriz. Welcome back to Liga MX with the 5-0 loss. That's crazy.
Yeah, and it had a handful of golazos, to tell you that. Lilini working with scraps. I feel there was news about a lot of Pumas fans rejecting to go to the game as a sign of we're not going until you guys give us refuerzos. Obviously, Dineno left. So Lilini has been just working with what he has for the past couple of seasons, and I keep putting him on a chopping block. But that was, a Toluca that was defending so poorly. It was just a lot of open space. Pumas took advantage, and it could have been worse. So
look, it's one game, as we'll recall. It seems like a distant memory now, but Holland in his first league match got blown out 4-0.
Yeah.
And made it to the final, to a penalty shootout in the final in the same season, and had a Leagues Cup title. So Jornada 1 doesn't really mean anything, but there are people who did not miss their opportunity to echar bullying Nacho Ambriz in the Leon community, which I get it. I did not join in. I have too much respect for the man and what he did for our club to join in that sentiment. But at the same time, I will say he inherited an equipo moribundo in his first season, and even then never got blown out 5-0.
Yeah.
So, there are those who are saying Nacho Ambriz no es nada sin Club León, and that obviously remains to be seen. I still think Toluca was one of the teams that had one of the better off seasons. I like their signings. I like what they did, and Nacho Ambriz still has plenty of opportunity to do some nice things there. But yeah, that is certainly a possibility that the Magia was more related to Club León and less to Nacho Ambriz. But we'll see. Still plenty of time for him to debunk that rumor or that myth.
Yeah, it's only game one. It's only the first jornada. Like you can't. There's anybody who's making predictions about which team is going to take off. They're not. It's nonsense because you can't tell just by watching one game. For example, the perfect example is that of Chivas. Like just because they won 3-0 doesn't mean they're going to have a spectacular season. That remains to be seen. And the same with Toluca. I mean, they could easily bounce back a lot like we did last season when we lost 4-0 at Pachuca in our first game and then ended up being in the final. So yeah, it's still very early. It's a long season, and yeah, I have high hopes and high expectations for León.
Definitely. Yes, first season. I mean, yeah, first game for Nacho Ambriz. I mean, there was a lot of questions of why did he bench a lot of the new signings, and obviously he still has a lot to figure out. You just gotta love Lilini and just the goals. I mean, it was a really really interesting game for sure. Obviously, like mentioned, Santos City is right now occurring in our Liga. Excuse me, our Jornada 1 will be played in the next couple of days. So yes. What was I gonna say? Club León English news. So we had tres bajas. Confirm me. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. So we had Navarrito departure to Toluca. We had Pumas Giglio.
No. Pachuca.
Sorry, Pachuca. Because it was that rumor, that.
Yeah, it was a rumor.
Yes. Sorry. Fernando Navarro to Pachuca. Then we had Pumas Gigliotti leave and also Ramiro Gonzalez. Did I miss anybody else?
¿Quién más se fue?
I think that was it.
That was it. I think
pretty sure that's it.
That was it.
I think the one that hurts the most is probably Ramiro.
Yeah, he's actually the only. I was just about to say that's the only one that truly concerns me.
Yeah.
And we can get into that but I mean, just on the surface, that's the one that hurts the most for sure.
Definitely. What are your thoughts about the other ones?
Well, obviously Navarro is I don't know if you want to call him a club legend, but he's definitely a referente, definitely one of the most important players that we've had over the past few seasons in particular. Been around since the bicampeonato, but didn't play a major role in that era. Kind of came into his own in the last, really in the Ambriz era, I would say. I mean, he had some moments before that, but I'd say he really, really came into his own and became what we knew him to be and what we expected from him under Ambriz. But we have to really put things in perspective and realize this team made it to a final in the first season with a new manager, largely without his contribution. And when he did contribute, when he finally came back from his injury, he was very hit or miss. He had some nice moments, but I don't think at any point did he ever look like the player that he was before the injury. And given his age and the amount of miles on those legs and the position that he plays and his playing style all over the field, there is reason to suspect at the very least that he might never be that player again.
Mm-hmm.
And that if he's not going to be that player again, this club has lofty aspirations, and especially if he's not happy with his role, if he still thinks he can do more, but the evidence just isn't showing it, that's kind of a red flag, keeping a guy like that on your roster. I think a move was unfortunately, sad as it is, because we want to remember him for the great things he did right before that injury. I mean, he was one of the best players in the league, jack of all trades, could play multiple positions. I mean, technically a right back, but really not best at that position, best going more towards the middle of the pitch and doing all kinds of stuff. But that player, I mean, I think it's relatively safe to say, was gone. And all these combining factors, I think it just had to be done. I really do.
Yeah.
I think it was time.
I think we can really compare this one to the departure of Elias Hernandez.
The first time, yeah.
Yeah, the first time, because he was also a referent in the club when he left for Cruz Azul. And we said it before. I mean, sometimes a player's era just ends at a club and he just has to move on. And I think that's what happened with Navarro in this case. Yeah, and like Louis said, after he came back from those injuries, he just wasn't the same player. He didn't have the same speed, and I feel like he was just lost. He never got his position back, his natural position as a right back. And I don't know, maybe there was bad blood between him and Xolos because of the tweets that he sent out last season. And I don't know, maybe Xolos was the one that requested him being shipped out.
It's not his fault. Part of it's not his fault. When you start the season injured with a new coach coming in, you don't have a chance to get in his good graces. I mean, you missed the preseason, you missed the whole season. By the time you're ready to play, I mean, pretty much everything is set. And that's not his fault. That's just kind of the nature of the game. He got dealt a poor hand. New coach coming in, he's injured. He can't prove himself. He can't forge a role for himself. And that's unfortunate for him, but it's a reality of the game. It's a reality of the league. It's a reality of any club in any sport. I mean, it's just sometimes it's bad luck, but that doesn't change the course of what needs to happen. And this needed to happen. As you said, his ciclo just might have come to an end.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll get another chance to finish his career here, like hopefully Elias does. Elias eventually came back, and I don't think you can say he's the same player he was before he left, but he's still an important contributor. Maybe Navarro can come back and be that again. One day he's still young enough. If he gets his legs back under him, he proves me wrong. I don't think he can be that same player again, but hopefully he listens to this and that puts a fire under his whatever body part you like, and he's inspired to prove me wrong and come back and be effective for Leon maybe again. But for now, he had to go.
Yeah, and I think it was either at one point we discussed this. It was either Navarro or Meneses who was going to Pachuca. Yeah. And I think we were all relieved and happy to find out that it was Navarro and that we were going to keep Meneses.
I mean, there was a lot of Meneses, rumors, not just Pachuca, but, outside the country, MLS. I mean, it was just, but at the end, I mean, nothing, right?
Yeah, it was much ado about nothing. A lot of humo.
Yeah.
Puro humo, and at the end of the day, he's just like, no, I'm staying, and that's the end of it. Yeah.
I think in regards to Navarro, I think obviously we saw his role in the Nacho Ambriz era. Obviously, Nacho with a more modern style of football. Obviously, he did have, that he was already injured. Olan came, like you guys had mentioned, not really a chance to prove himself. Obviously, coming back from injuries, not that easy for a lot of players. I think despite not finding his role, I think Olan just wasn't going to use him as Nacho Ambriz, as Olan is more of a traditional style of play versus what Nacho did with him. So I think at this point in time, I do agree with you guys. I think his ciclo is over. But I'm also not sure how he'll fit in with Almada at Pachuca.
Well, he didn't even play in the first game. So that should tell you something.
Which questions if this was more of a personal decision with his personal life as well, that he just wanted a change, and obviously the lateral move within would be Pachuca. I mean, obviously, we want to see him, do his best. I just don't know how he'll fit in at Pachuca. That's just mine.
I don't know. I think he's just kind of I hate to say this about someone who had so many great moments, so many key pivotal moments, and was arguably, before his injury, the best player on the team. I don't know. His personality just has occasionally struck me as kind of pecho frío.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I hate to say that about him. His play, like when he was at his best, certainly. I mean, I think his play was so effective that maybe it kind of covered that up. Mm-hmm. But like when he wasn't being taken into consideration as much, I feel like he just, I don't know. It didn't take much for him to jump off the Leon train. You know what I mean? That's kind of what it didn't take much at all. And that's kind of.
Welcome.
Well, hey, you guys, it's been a long time. I just wanted to, stop by for the 100th episode. I'm at work. No sé cuánto me queda de tiempo de mi break. And my internet sucks. So, like last time I tried, I hope it's doing better today. But, ¿Tienes pecho frío, Louis? I just, the first thing I heard was
Navarrito.
Yeah, we're talking about Navarro.
I don't know si pecho frío. But yeah, como que ya el ciclo de Fernandito ya se había acabado. So.
Like, I just, they used to say that about Angel Mena. And I think Angel Mena, like, over the last couple seasons has really shaken that reputation. I feel like he's really bought in to Club Leon. Like, if there was any doubt about it, like, especially this last season, like, I think he really debunked those myths about him. And Navarro kind of, like, whereas maybe people wouldn't have thought that so much about him before, he, like when people started calling his loyalty to the club into question, he didn't do anything to I don't know, to call into question people's doubts about him. So yeah, that's kind of that's where I'm at with him, and I wish him well, but not too well in Pachuca. I don't think we don't really know how it's going to go for him. We were just talking about he didn't even play for Almada in the first jornada, so we'll see. But yeah, it was time for him to go when he went.
Yeah,
definitely.
Javier, what do you think about Nacho Ambriz's return to Liga MX and losing 5-0?
I honestly think that maybe, again, I like Jota Macias. We underestimate what Leon does for you, and you think it's all about you, and then you're the one that created. I think he's a great coach. I just think that it got to his head a little bit, Desde que su representante was getting into that, but he was here, Martinez was aquí. I'm glad he had his little opportunity in Europe, pero nunca se olvida que Leon. And look, Leon plays well no matter who comes and goes. Left and come coaches as well. So I just think that 5-0 could honestly should be more of emphasize what Leon actually means. How well is Leon? But I think it says more about Leon than Nacho.
Good take.
Drizno commented, thank you for joining, and he said it's sad to see Navarro leave. Hopefully he finds a role in Pachuca. So definitely what we were just mentioning. Besides Navarrito, el Puma Gigliotti and Ramiro, el Puma Gigliotti, I mean, I feel like his departure should have been last season, as we had, thought it was, but now official. Any thoughts on that?
It should have been last season, but he still managed to come in, and earlier on in the season, I mean, he fizzled out, didn't really do anything for us down the stretch or the year or anything like that, but he gave us a couple more moments of joy that were maybe unexpected of him. I remember his goal against Mazatlan, and could have been or was it a doblete against Mazatlan, wasn't it?
You got the memory. If you say it, it's probably right.
I wanted to say he had a doblete, and he had a chance for the hat trick on the PK, which he missed. It would have put us up 4-0 and given him the hat trick if my memory serves. He had a doblete against Mazatlan, like in the third or fourth jornada, and then of course his goal to put away the Leagues Cup final was amazing. But then after that, he he came into the final against Atlas. We're like, okay, Gigliotti, this is your moment to shine in another final. And what did he do? He got sent off.
He got sent
so
off.
I think I think for him, for another player that might not have been a fitting ending, but for him, I think it was. Yeah, he got sent off and will never play another game for Leon again, or maybe for any other team. He's getting up there.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Yeah, he if Navarrito gave what he had to give already, Gigliotti certainly did.
Yeah, but he's always going to be remembered for that final where he scored the 2 goals to give us the championship, and I think that's why they gave him that outro with the special dedication video, because it was because of him that we won that title. But I mean, yeah, I think it was a little late. I think he should have been gone last season as well. But now the important thing is that Ormeño steps up, because now he only has to compete with Davila, and I don't know. I kind of like seeing Davila play behind Ormeño a little bit. So
yeah, I also think it was nice for Holland to have a player that he knew in the squad for his first season with the team, just for I don't know, emotional, psychological reasons. Like, he's getting to know his entire rest of the team, but he has this one guy that he knows is in his corner. And so, that's why I think he specifically asked for him to stay one more tournament. But now we're past that. It's he can go, and it's Ormeño's time to shine. If Ormeño can't get it going this season, he might never get it going with the club.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then also, I mean, for Olan to give him playing time, which obviously has been a little factor last season. Definitely more on the defensive side for Santi Ormeño and opportunities that he's had. So I guess we'll see if there's probably more opportunities for him this season. Obviously, we acquired Federico Martinez, the Uruguayan, and obviously there's still in limbo about Byron Castillo, which, I mean,
it was a pretty hot topic for like a week, but then it just kind of fizzled out.
Well, but now it's back. I don't know if you've been checking lately. Like, now they're saying his representation might be on their way to Mexico to maybe sign a deal. So I don't know. I'm not holding my breath. At this point, I'll still just be pleasantly surprised if something happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if you've been checking, but the rumors have been picking up. They've been picking up a little bit again.
Okay.
He would be a big signing. Like, it's strange. I was getting really excited for this offseason when within a few days of the final, pretty much, they signed Fede Martinez. And I was like, okay, they're not going to be messing around this offseason. They know what they have at stake this coming semester. Conca Champions, probably the easiest draw for a Conca Champions that the club will ever have. This is when it's time to go win it, but they can't mess around. They got to get some refuerzos. They got to go out and they got Fede Martinez. Like, okay, this is just the first domino to fall. There's going to be a lot more. And then there wasn't. So, I mean, it was kind of anticlimactic of an offseason in terms of refuerzos. If we are to believe that the offseason is over, the transfer window doesn't close until March. So I think some teams are taking their time finding the right guys because there's no rush. And I think we might see 1 or 2 more players added still. But when you take into consideration that we should be getting a full season of Chapo Montes again, and Ormeño doesn't have anybody playing in front of him anymore, those and the fact that Meneses stayed and Tecillo stayed, because if you remember, there were rumors about Tecillo also. There were lots of rumors about Tigres wanting Tecillo, and he was like, no thanks, I'm happy where I am, I'll stay. And then that was the end of that. Like, okay, Tecillo, Meneses are staying. Ormeño doesn't have anybody to fight for minutes anymore. Even if he's still just a super sub, he's got to be the first guy off the bench. That's basically like getting more. That's essentially getting 4 refuerzos. 2 guys who we thought were going to leave, and 1 guy we're getting back from injury for a full season, and another guy who doesn't have to fight as much for minutes and has lofty expectations. So I consider those to be refuerzos also, not in the most traditional of senses. But when you think about it that way, and you look at the squad and you realize, I mean, yeah, we're thin at a couple positions. Like, maybe only have 1 or 2 guys at a couple positions, but we have depth at all the rest, even without getting a whole pile of refuerzos. So that's kind of my take on the refuerzo situation. And I think Fede, I'm excited about him. I mean, he's the only real like new acquisition that we can really be excited about. But I am excited about him. He's a Uruguayan international. A lot of people consider him one of the future pieces of the Uruguay national team.
I gotta go real quick. I gotta go. I just want to say I agree. I think Fede is for 100% interesting refuerzo. I think it's típico de Grupo Pachuca, and hopefully con Castillo and other. I don't think it's over for los refuerzos. Hopefully la directiva, gets on it and we win against Tijuana 3-0. That's my take. 3-0. Louis, you better go. Buy that Cholo
I'll be there.
Buy that Cholo
I'll be there.
Bye,
I love you guys.
I got
you
the
guys.
Xolos pass. I'll be there.
Love you guys. 100 episodios. No cualquiera. Felicidades. Love all three of you guys and the legendary Jose. Bye.
All right, man. See you. Javier giving us his early prediction.
Yeah.
I think look at it, Louis. I think we're pretty stacked on positions. Obviously, like you had mentioned earlier, Meneses staying huge. I feel like we had mentioned earlier, it was a lot of possibilities of Uma, whatever it was, but still there was a possibility that he would leaving a huge gap. Not that we can't fill it, but I mean, especially how Meneses has been playing the last couple of seasons from where he started to now. I mean, he's been a huge player for Leon. So we'll definitely see what happens. I feel obviously still a right back, a legitimate right back. That's the position I'm going to keep.
Yeah.
Right back and one more center back. Right back and center back. Maybe some guys who can switch in between, but are comfortable in either one.
I mean, I wouldn't mind using the youngster. El de la sub-20, ¿cómo se llama?
Pedro Hernandez.
Pedro Hernandez. Yeah, there you go.
I mean,
the few games he's had, he's looked pretty solid.
I mean, he's our third center back right now. If you consider that our starting center back pairing is inevitably going to be Tecillo and Barreiro, after him, all we have is Pedro Hernandez. After those two, all we have is Pedro Hernandez. So
and possibly Mosquera can slide in there.
But Mosquera's not going to start. He's not going to be available for the first couple matches. I'm saying to start the season, like going into Saturday against Xolos, we have 3 healthy center backs. That's it.
So are we going to play Avion?
I would guess that Avion would start at right back. Yes.
Why don't we give Gilburon his chance?
He just doesn't offer that much in the attack, and I would say if Ambriz like to have an offensive-minded outside back pairing, Holland does even more.
Yeah.
So I just don't think he's going to go with. He's not going to start Gilburon. I don't think he's going to play Gilburon unless he absolutely has to. I like Gilburon. I think Gilburon he's a solid. He can slot in, and he's not going to hurt you. He just doesn't offer very much going forward, and so that's why I think he struggled to get a lot of chances under Holland.
One player who I heard was coming back is Leo Ramos, but now it looks like he's negotiating his way out of Leon.
Yeah.
So kind of went under the radar for a bit. A few people talked about it, but it's something I thought we should mention.
All he's going to do is come in and make it harder for Ormeño. So I mean, if they want to have competition at the striker position, I'd say give Armando Leon a shot. I'd give him a shot before bringing back Ramos.
Yeah,
definitely. And I think he is fully recovered, and hopefully this season he does get the minutes he deserves. So moving along, the preview against Xolos. Obviously, Xolos lost their first jornada. What are our thoughts going into our first game and their second game with a loss? Are we feeling confident? Or how are we feeling?
I don't expect Xolos to be anything close to a contending team this year. As I mentioned before we went live, there have been 3 repechajes now, which is made basically to make it so everybody could get in. And even with 12 teams getting in for 3 seasons, Xolos has not gotten into the top 12. They are a hot mess. They have been for a long time. It has affected their ticket prices, which used to be the highest in Liga MX by quite a wide margin. And now you can get a Xolo pass for the same price as a ticket to one game, which is a good thing. Which is a good thing, all depending on where you want to sit.
So where do you sit, for example?
I won't be sitting where I normally sit, which is on the west sideline behind the benches, which I think that's Carlos. When you and I, the last time we were there, that's where we both sat.
Yep.
You were up a little higher than I was.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll be sitting in the cabecera norte this time. And okay, no, it was a little bit more than than what the ticket was. But I mean, the price difference was marginal. It was a price difference of like, I don't know, 500 or 600 pesos or something like that. When you're talking about a season ticket as opposed to ticket to just one game. And I can probably sell it off after, considering the fact that Xolos has announced they're probably only going to have season ticket holders allowed on the stands for this season, at least until further notice. And Xolos have America and Pumas coming to the Estadio Caliente later in the season. So I expect to be able to make my money back on that Xolo pass, but I now am assured an entry to the game on Saturday, so I'm feeling pretty good about that.
Yeah, I don't think Xolos. They don't think they picked up any like significant refuerzos. The only one I heard of was Gallito Vasquez.
Yeah, but he's
from Toluca, and he's not. He's not what he used to be.
How old is Gallito Vasquez now? Like, especially for
30s, no?
He's got to be like
maybe 33.
30. I'd say a little older than that, even 34. I'd say even 34, going on 35.
Probably
like,
33. I just
33. Okay, but I mean, for that position, a player, one of the box-to-box midfielder who has to run as much as he does, he's not the same player that he was during the Bicampeonato of León. That's for sure.
Yeah. I'm not too worried about this game. The only thing that maybe kind of worries me is the fact that they've already played one game and we have no games beneath our legs. So that might cost us a bit. We might be a little winded at the half, but I think we have the firepower and the experience to get out of there with the win.
Yeah, I mean the artificial turf is always a concern too. Playing on that pitch is never.
Don't talk about that.
Is never fun.
Are we banning that?
No, I'm just talking about, and only in the sense that Xolos are used to playing on it, and it tends to give them a little bit of a home field advantage for that reason. However, I will say León, in terms of results, has done pretty well there in their land. I believe their last two visits for sure were wins.
Mm.
And I think they have enough to get it done this time, regardless. Xolos did not look good against Cruz Azul, and Cruz Azul projects to be not nearly as good as they were even last season, which was a big disappointment for them coming off their title. So, I mean, they lost a lot more quality pieces than brought in. So, yeah, for Xolos to go in and not really look even that competitive against them, I'm not too concerned about this game either.
Wow. I mean, in regards to Cruz Azul, I mean, come on, Louis, they got 5 refuerzos.
But who did they lose?
True. But I mean, you got Charlie. Okay, you got Antuna, who obviously has always been questionable to me in my eyes. So I'm interested to see.
Are you really calling Antuna a refuerzo?
I'm trying to stay professional. Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I feel like seeing him in a different team. I mean, we'll see. Obviously, there was a lot of questions of where he would be and he would end up at. So obviously. He ended up at Cruz Azul. Charlie, I mean, he got his goal. Not a typical, kid that gets a goal. Eric Lira, the youngster. I mean, I'm interested. We'll see. Doesn't mean I go for them. I'm just interested.
I don't know. They don't have Cabecita anymore. He's the only one who ever really scared me.
Yeah, that was their stellar player.
Yeah.
He always scored on us.
Yeah. And they don't have... Who else did they lose? They lost Orbelin. They lost Orbelin. They lost Romo. Yeah. I mean, the guys they lost were such key contributors for their title run. That's why I say that. Yeah, I mean, they got in some guys, but I don't know. I don't expect them to be much of anything. And Xolos didn't look competitive against them. So I like our chances against Xolos. The only thing, as Carlos mentioned, is could be the heavy legs at halftime.
Yeah.
But hopefully that's not a factor.
Yeah, definitely. Our predicted lineup that we have, are we sticking to our probably usual lineup? With the exception of obviously Mosquera.
And Meneses, who is suspended for the first 2 matches of the season.
Yes, thank you for reminding me. He is suspended. If you guys miss why he's suspended, go to Club Leon and with the GIF that I love to replay because it's just a classic thing, and funny to watch.
Unbelievable.
He's suspended. He's suspended for expressing what everybody in the Cabecera Sur, everyone in the Cabecera Sur of Estadio Jalisco was thinking at that exact moment. That's for sure.
Yeah. But Solari gets 1 game suspended for yelling at the ref's face.
Yeah, I mean,
what does Gignac get?
Nothing
for yelling at the.
He gets a slap in the wrist. He doesn't even get a yellow card. Let's be honest. What is not
the
same thing?
In the same way that Tom Brady's never going to get a taunting penalty. Gignac's never going to get a suspension. Gignac is the Tom Brady of Liga MX. Or at least,
though.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the difference. But
Gignac is not the GOAT, but he's considered the Tom Brady of the current Liga MX, that's for sure. In terms of the way he's treated by the league.
Yeah.
I think, no offense, Luis, but not you, Luis, but Luis and Coop Tigres. I think a lot of Tigres players have that benefit of not getting carded.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, in regards to our lineup, what are we thinking? Same.
Yeah. I mean, I think, assuming everybody's good to go, assuming there are no last-minute positive COVID tests or anything, because we haven't heard anything about that. That's becoming a thing again in Liga MX. But yeah, Osfi, Tecillo, Barreiro, and Avion in the back.
Colombato with his new haircut.
Colombato with his new hair color.
Like
yeah.
Interesting hair color choice.
Hair color, yeah.
Colombato Jefecito in the defensive midfield. Omar Fernandez, Angel Mena,
Victor
Davila,
and Luis Montes.
And I would guess Chapo Montes. Yeah.
I like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Aggressive lineup.
I agree. I think it's looking like that. If everybody is as healthy as they are. Obviously,
he could surprise us and start Ormeño, but
he could. Yeah,
he could. That's pretty much the only. There's not a lot of room for surprises here.
There's not.
That one could be the one.
That would be the only one. Like, still start Davila, but instead of Montes, perhaps, and have Ormeño up top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the only surprise.
Yeah. Other than that, I mean, or maybe he starts. Maybe he starts Pedro Hernandez. I don't know. Like that would be the only other one, but I don't think so.
I don't think so. I would love for him to use more youngsters this season, but we'll see. It's not forced upon as it used. Well, Javi gave us his prediction, and he predicted a 3-0 win over Xolos. Shall we go to our prediction time?
Sure.
Let's do it.
Prediction time!
Prediction time is back. Guys, are we ready for prediction time?
Yeah.
Okay. Louis, we're going to start off with you, who will be attending the game. When are you leaving? When are you getting there? And what are your expectations?
So today is Wednesday. Friday afternoon, I will fly from Portland to San Diego. I will spend the night in San Diego with a good friend of mine who lives down there, and hang out, hopefully get some good San Diego brews, and do the San Diego thing. Head into Tijuana Saturday morning, the day of the game, spend the day there, spend the night there, what have you, fly back to León El Bajío on Sunday. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's been, well, since Carlos, when you and I met up there back at second to last jornada of Apertura 2019. That was the last time. That was the last time I was there. Yeah, so over 2 years since the last time we were there. Obviously, I guess Leon did play there once during the pandemic behind closed doors, but it's always a fun trip. I will be staying in the same hotel as the team, or at least where they usually stay, unless they've changed hotels. So hopefully I get a run-in with some players and staff, hopefully create some nice Twitter/Instagram content from that. But yeah, looking forward to the trip, and I'm not going to go 3-0. I think that's a little bit too much to ask in our first jornada, where we're going to have a lot of rust to shake off. I do not, however, expect a championship hangover like we saw against Tigres in the first game back from our title win. I don't expect that. I think there's a big difference between winning a title and losing one. I think the guys are going to be hungry to go out and get a result right away. I also think they're going to want to take advantage of the extra time off that they had as compared to some other teams. Really, with that extra week, this means they'll have only had like 1 week less of off season than most of the rest of the teams, especially those that were also in Liguilla, which Xolos obviously was not. But I do think they're going to get a win. I don't think it's going to be 3-0. I'm going to go more conservative. I'm going to say the same result that we got the last time we won there, when you and I were there, Carlos, 2-1. I think we're going to go up 2-0, and Xolos will pull one back late. But it won't matter. A 2-1 win, we come out of there, get our first 3 points of the season, hopefully get some momentum going into the following Wednesday, which nobody has mentioned or thought about really, but rematch with Atlas in León at the new camp. That is a huge, huge matchup. Hopefully they won't be looking ahead to that while they're playing this one, because I think this is a big opportunity to start the season off con el pie derecho and get 3 big points at Estadio Caliente.
2-1.
Yeah.
Part of me had forgotten the final, but then when I was talking to my family during Christmas, it was all we were talking about. So kind of, I'm not looking forward to Wednesday in a way. But anyways, Javi 3-0, Louis 2-1. Carlos, your prediction, sir?
I'm gonna go with a 2-0. I don't know if Xolos is gonna score on us. I think our defense was pretty solid last season, and I don't know, Xolos just, they don't seem like a playoff bound team this season to me. Losing 2-0 against Cruz Azul, who are also a contender, is not a good look for them. It's not a good start for them. And I don't know, I think the extra time, like Louis said, the extra time might benefit us coming into this first match. And other than the heavy legs, I think we should be ready to go. We should be on point, and we should be on top of our game. And yeah, I like our chances, so I'm gonna go 2-0.
2-0 León. Okay. I'm gonna go with Louis. I'm gonna go with the 2-1. Just because being a first game, maybe they'll defense will be a little shaky coming back. I'm not sure. I think we'll see how León sets the tone just the first game and see how they're coming, so we can see what type of game we're expecting midweek next week. But yeah, I'm hoping for a victory, the first away victory. So I'm going with a 2-1. So victories everywhere. So now we don't have as much news this pod, just because obviously, after what happened in the final, we already talked about the bajas that León had. If there are going to be any signings, that will be whenever that is. But other than that, that pretty much wraps up our episode 100th. Starting the season back up again, so we're definitely very excited, as we also have CONCACAF Champions League and the Rise. Guys, anything else that you want to say before we leave on our episode 100th of the Lions Den podcast?
I don't think so.
Interesting season we have on deck, and And it's gonna lots of important matches are gonna come up on us real quick. It's not too long before we start our Conca Champions campaign either. And hopefully they have the horses to be competitive in everything that they have coming up this season. Because I think for Holland getting to the final in his first season, not building upon that would be a huge disappointment. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he's got, what the team has. I'm really interested in seeing the first 15-20 minutes of this game against Xolos. Like the attitude, the players' attitude, like how much are they going for it? I think that'll be a real tone setter, not just for the match, but for the season.
Yeah. I think more than anything, I want to see if Holland had learned anything from last season. I want to see if he's matured or if he's grown, if he's going to make the correct subs, if he's going to change his lineups. I want to see his approach to the game as opposed to results, because I know last season we had some results where we won, but we didn't play well, and there were some substitutions we didn't like. So I just want to see if that growth is there from him more than anything.
Yeah, I think I mostly liked Holland, and I think he vindicated himself. I think he silenced his haters. But at the same time, stubbornness seemed to be kind of probably his most negative quality. So I think that's important. It'll be an important thing to monitor. Like if something clearly isn't working, will he change it? How fast will he change it? Yeah. I think that you're absolutely right. That is something to keep track of.
Yeah. And he only signed for a year, so let's keep an eye on that, because we don't know if he's going to get that extension or not. If the team somehow ends up at the bottom of the table somewhere mid-season, let's start thinking about a new coach. But if we're doing pretty well,
or if he's even going to want that extension, he seems like a guy who gets kind of, I don't know, he gets impatient or he gets I don't know, he just gets tired of being where he is. If you've looked at his resume, he hasn't stayed for very long at any one place. Yeah. So if he continues to do well, I mean, I hope he can stay and become a figura. Someone we remember just as fondly as Nacho Ambriz or Gustavo Matosas.
Yeah.
But we're a long way from that. So, I mean, hopefully he continues to build on what he's done.
Yeah.
That's all we can ask from him.
Definitely. I agree with Carlos. I think his growth will be interesting to keep an eye on, especially from his background, being, coming from hockey, and then obviously his trajectory through football, then obviously Leon's first season, getting to a final. I mean that's just a pretty high bar to set. So we'll definitely see what he has in store for us, and he'll have all our support until the end. But definitely want to give a shout out to everybody that has followed us throughout this whole time to lead us to our 100th episode. Everybody on Twitter, on YouTube, on Facebook. Thank you so much. I mean, I feel like we have come a long way from the very beginning, providing you guys with Club Leon English content. Also to thank my team, because without them, this podcast is nothing. So Carlos, awesome. Louis, who joined us, Javi, Jose, all of us who put our time and effort into this podcast and come every Monday as best as we can to serve you guys from our time and, to make sure you guys are in tune with everything Club Leon in English, because we are the only podcast out there. So definitely thank you guys so much. And we hope that you guys enjoy, all the content that we bring. Louis is always at the stadium. You'll always see him out there every single game. Make sure to follow Club Leon English because they'll keep you updated. Every single thing you need to know, even if you're missing the game like Javi at work, I'm sure he tunes in to see all the live content out there. So I just want to thank everybody that has definitely followed us in our journey so far and leading into episode 100. It's just crazy. But yeah, that's all I got to say. Anything else, guys?
I don't think
Likewise.
so.
We're doing a great job. Let's keep it up.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, this concludes our episode 100. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll definitely see you guys on another episode next week. Don't miss the game this weekend. We want to see our Leon win. So thank you guys so much. Enjoy the rest of the match if you're watching Tigres versus Santos. And we'll see you guys on another episode of the Lions Den Podcast.